Chapter 20 Fancy Horse Clothes. Syria Magic Academy has its own horse farm, which is located at the foot of the easternmost mountain of the academy. There is also a clear stream outside the horse farm, which is convenient for horses to drink. At 10 o'clock in the morning, the sunshine at 40 degrees north latitude passed over the tall Hillian mountains and shone obliquely on the dewy grass of the racecourse, like shining diamonds scattered all over the ground. The training field on the west side is where students attend classes. After years of trampling, the ground has long turned into solid rammed earth. The training ground is divided into many tracks with wooden stakes and iron nets, and circles of tracks form a large onion ring. When the iron fence of the training ground opened, horses ran into the field under the control of the horse driver. The horses' hooves flew on the ground, kicking up a burst of acrid dust. Luo Wei, like the noble students, put on light riding clothes and waited in front of the stands at the training ground. Her bay red horse was sent to the school horse farm yesterday, for which she paid 10 silver coins for feeding. When everyone's horses arrived, the coach of the equestrian class, Kirk Tolan, arrived belatedly with his big black horse. Are you all here? When you are, go find your own horse. Coach Tolan waved his hand and asked everyone to lead the horses themselves. The students who had never ridden a horse seemed nervous and did not dare to go near the horse. Fortunately, these horses were very docile and there were no incidents of horses kicking people. Luo Wei found her horse by identifying its clothing. Yes, her horse was wearing clothes. Nobles like to customize various equipment for their horses and dress them up. For example, Venus' horse not only wears a carved brass horse mask, but also wears a leather horse coat embroidered with the family crest. Some aristocratic boys in the class went even further and equipped their horses with a full set of horse armor, including face armor, neck armor, leg armor, belly armor, and hip armor, and even put a hollow gold bridle on the horse's mouth. They themselves were also dressed very grandly with chainmail and joint protectors and helmets of different shapes on their heads, like high-spirited little generals. But Luo Wei wanted to laugh when she saw their helmets because she always thought of the strange protrusion on Ultraman's head. Compared to the high-spirited students of the aristocracy, the civilian students were a little cramped. The horses provided by the academy are only equipped with simple saddles and reins, which look particularly monotonous in front of a group of jeweled and tall horses. Luo Wei was originally a member of the common people. She was extremely lucky that she bought the most expensive horse jacket in the store yesterday due to the scammer's trick. Today, she would not look so out of place among the aristocratic students. Before taking the equestrian class, she thought that the difference between nobles and commoners was that the horses of the former were stronger and the horses of the latter were thinner. Who knew that the biggest difference turned out to be the horse's dress? This world is really cruel. Common people cannot even afford a complete set of clothes, but the horses of nobles wear gold and silver. A set of horse armor can buy dozens of acres of land. The sun gradually became dazzling. With the help of Coach Tolan, the students successfully climbed onto the saddle and began to walk the horses on the track. The content of the first lesson is very simple. Just learn to get on and off the horse and control the direction of the horse. Luo Wei had ridden a horse in her previous life and was very skilled in doing these movements, but this was her first time riding. After sitting on the horse for a long time, her inner thighs were a little tingling. She controlled the reins to slow down the bay horse and swayed slowly on the outside of the track to avoid skinning her thighs. Knock, knock, knock. The sound of the stirrups getting closer and closer, and a silver figure bumped towards her. Luo Wei turned her head, her pupils shrank, and she immediately grabbed the reins. You. The horse's hooves flew and landed beside her. With her golden hair flying in the wind, Athena sat on a high horse and glanced at her with an arrogant expression. Luo Wei knew she wouldn't hit her when she tightened the reins, so her expression remained calm. Athena, you're going in the wrong direction. She held the reins and asked the horse to take 2 steps forward, then looked back to remind him. A flash of disappointment flashed in Athena's eyes, but it didn't scare her. She thought that the other person would at least be scared off his horse by her. But she quickly showed a hypocritical smile. Sorry, I accidentally pulled the reins backwards. I hope you are really sorry. Luowei glanced at her, clamped her legs under the horse's belly, and distanced herself from her. Athena's eyes turned cold. She clamped her horse's belly tightly and chased after her. Luowei, why don't we chat? Luowei looked forward. What do you want to talk about? Athena joined her. Have you seen the paladin? Luowei, paladin does not travel around the world. But sometimes they will leave the Holy See and go to various places to complete some tasks. Athena stared at her profile, such as receiving a commission from a noble to purify the demon souls that have occupied human bodies. Boom. Luowei heard a loud sound in her heart, and the blood flow in her body suddenly accelerated, causing her muscles to suddenly become tense. Athena knows? How did she know that she was not the original owner? Her heart was beating fast, and in extreme shock, Luowei calmed down. Athena may not really know. She probably just wants to use this excuse to teach Vina to trick the paladin over, so that she can reveal her true identity. Guessing Athena's intention, Luowei's heart dropped again. Purification demon? It's very interesting, but it's a pity that I haven't seen it before. She replied in a cold tone. It doesn't matter. You will see it soon, Athena said with a wave of eyes. Vina suspects that there are demons hiding in the academy. She wrote a letter to the Holy See 2 days ago. I believe the letter has been delivered by now. Luowei nodded. Thank you for informing me. I'm looking forward to it. Then, I'll take the first step. Athena's smile deepened, and she swung her riding crop and rushed away. Her reaction was as if he really just came to say a few words to her. But Waynal had already told her about this, so why did she need to warn her a second time? Luowei felt strange. Could it be that Waynal had broken up with her, so she had to take action on her own? Let me reiterate. She didn't take Vina's threat to heart before, but now that Athena mentioned the letter again, she began to worry. If the paladins were just here to check her identity, she could fool him, but if they could really check a person's soul, I'm afraid she wouldn't be able to defend herself and would end up in a state of disarray. After class, Luowei walked to the restaurant worriedly. Miss Luowei. Winnie and Bulk sat at the dining table and waved to her. They had arrived earlier and had already eaten. Although the last dinner party was not very good due to Luowei's influence, their bad dining habits have changed a lot, and I also feel that they have changed for the better, and I want to learn from her again. Luowei bought a vegetable salad and sat next to the two of them with a salad bowl. Miss Luowei, do you only eat this little? Winnie asked with wide eyes. Don't call me miss, just call me by my name from now on. Luowei said as she took out the tableware bag she carried with her and took out a clean silver fork. I have a bad appetite today and want to eat something light. Winnie and Bulk looked at the fork in her hand with curiosity and sighed in the same way. I really want to know how many tableware you have. Luowei smiled and opened the cutlery bag and placed it in front of them. Not much. You don't have to pay so much attention when you go out. Do you want to see it? Winnie and Bulk nodded wildly and carefully picked up her cutlery bag. A small knife, a long spoon, a round pipe, and 2 silver sticks. What are these for? The two of them looked confused. Chapter 21, One-day trip to the countryside. Luowei smiled and took the bag back and explained to them one by one. The knife and fork are a pair, which can be used to cut and fork things. The small spoon is used to drink soup. This silver tube is called a straw, which is used to drink water. She finally picked up 2 chopsticks and picked up a piece of vegetable salad in front of the two of them. These are called chopsticks. They can be used to pick up vegetables. These are her newly customized tableware, which she only got yesterday afternoon after adding twice the labor fee. The food at school was so weird that she was always worried that it was poisonous, and using silver tableware was also convenient for poison testing. Winnie and Bulk looked in wonder. They had only seen a knife and a large spoon, but nothing else. During the meal break, Luo chatted with the two about the Holy See in the south. I heard that the Holy Knights of the Holy See can purify demons. Have you seen it? Winnie shook her head. She had never heard of this. Bulk knew a little bit and said enthusiastically, I heard the bards in the city sing that there are 12 paladins in the Holy See. Each of them has the cultivation of the magic swordsman and the magic power of the magister. They are dual-line mage. Very powerful. Luo asked with great interest. Then have you heard about how they catch demons? It is said that they have a judgment stone and holy water. The judgment stone can judge people's souls, and the holy water can purify demons. Bulk said, I've heard of this too. Winnie finally heard a word she knew and hurriedly joined in the conversation. The judgment stone can make people confess their crimes. In front of it, no one can lie and can only tell the truth. When I was little, my grandma used to trick me with a stone pretending to be the judgment stone, and she fooled me every time. Bulk felt the same way. Yes, there's holy water. When I was a child, I went to the priest for a stomachache, and the priest gave me holy water. Later, I saw with my own eyes that it was the water scooped out from the well. The real holy water is only available in the Holy See. The two of them changed the subject as they talked, and finally came to the topic of who got beaten the most as a child. Luo listened with a smile, but her heart kept sinking, so heavy that it was difficult for her to breathe. I always feel like something bad is going to happen. After eating, her right eyelid suddenly started twitching, and the bad premonition became stronger and stronger. Luo returned to the dormitory on the excuse of feeling uncomfortable. There was still a tortoise shell she brought back yesterday on the low cabinet in the bedroom. By some strange coincidence, she put her hand on the tortoise shell. The next second, she felt dizzy and closed her eyes. In the darkness, a starlight quickly rose, lighting up the starry sky. She was about to use what she had learned yesterday to speculate on the stars, when a bolt of lightning suddenly struck in the sky, and branches like lines split the sky into several pieces. In the blink of an eye, the sky collapsed, the sky fire descended, and a huge turtle shell emerged from the ground, as if it carried the entire star map on its back. The broken sky curtain also became the shield on the turtle's back, and the arc-shaped star trails merged into the concentric rings on the shield. The Big Mars constellation fell on the tortoise shell. The star map shook violently, the earth cracked, and the mountains and rivers collapsed. The tortoise shell cracked and exploded, and a broken line extended from the southeast to the north, from Spica to Dubon. The moment he saw the broken pattern, a few lines of words suddenly appeared in Luo's mind. The star Spica, the first of the 7 stars in the east, is the horn of the blue dragon, which is very bad. The star of the Dipper is one of the 6 stars of the South Dipper. It is the snake head of the northern Xuanwu and is auspicious. Luo seemed to understand the meaning of this astrology. It answered the most urgent question in her mind just now, whether it was a good or bad day, or where to find her way out. The star map slowly disappeared, and the tortoise shell sank. Luo opened her eyes, swayed, and almost fell to the ground. Her brain was tingling, as if all her energy had been drained away, and her vision was blurred for a while before it slowly became clear. She held the wall and walked to the bedside and sat down, holding the turtle shell in her right hand, her thoughts difficult to distinguish. Judging from the divination results, her current situation is very serious, and she has already stepped into the gate of hell. But she didn't do anything today. She didn't even leave the school gate. Where did the vicious elephant come from? Luo's right eyelid twitched, and she suddenly remembered that her panic only appeared after hearing about the paladin and the judgment stone. Could it be related to the paladin? Athena said that the Holy See will receive the letter from Vina today. It will take at least 2.5 days from sending the letter to receiving it. Even if the paladin really wants to come, it will not arrive until the day after tomorrow. Why is it so bad today? Wait, she knows what she's missing. Professor Mike from the magic pattern class said that there is a kind of magic pattern in this world called the teleportation magic pattern, which can connect two places and implement long-distance teleportation. If the paladins were using the teleportation circle, they wouldn't have needed it for 2 days. Oops. Luowei stood up suddenly, grabbed the turtle shell and the magic wand in the cabinet, opened the door, and rushed out. The result of the divination is very bad. She will definitely die if she stays where she is. The only way to survive is in the north. She wants to escape from the north. Luowei quickly ran to the race course and took her horse from the stable on the grounds that she wanted to go out for a horse race to relax. There was a side entrance directly out of the school at the race course. She got on her horse and galloped all the way to the small courtyard she had just rented yesterday. Where's Troy? Only Roman and Bella were in the yard, and no one from Troy was seen. Bella said in surprise, "Master, didn't you meet Mr. Swordsman? He went out very early and said he would wait for you at the entrance of the academy." Luowei was secretly annoyed because she was too impatient and forgot that Troy usually waited for her outside the school gate. "Miss, where are you going?" Roman saw the horses outside the yard and ran over in panic and asked, "I have to go out for something." Luowei touched his head and took out 2 gold coins from the money bag. "Take the money and ask Bella to take you out to buy some thicker clothes." Roman's eyes were filled with mist, and he didn't dare to accept her money. Luowei sighed. Children are the most sensitive to emotions. He was afraid that he might have noticed something. "Don't worry, I will definitely come back to find you." She put the gold coin in Roman's hand, turned around and walked out the door. On the side of College Street, Luowei finally met Troy. "How did you get over there?" Troy looked confused. "I don't have time to tell you in detail. I'm going to the north. You can escort me." Luowei stretched out her hand to him. "Hurry up and get on the horse." "You want to leave now? Stop talking nonsense and hurry up." Troy didn't grab her hand, and he easily jumped on the horse with his long legs, just keeping a foot-wide distance from her, and then stretched out his hand. "Give me the reins." Luowei didn't argue with him. Her equestrian skills were definitely not as good as Troy's. After the reins fell into Troy's hands, he immediately turned the horse's head and ran towards the outside. "Which way?" "The shortest way." Without saying a word, Troy drove his horse and ran north, taking Luowei out of the city in one breath. After leaving the city, Luowei's tense face finally relaxed a little, and she was not as anxious as before. Troy then said, "Where are you going to the north?" Of course, the further north, the better. Just as Luowei was about to say this, she immediately realized that she was running for her life and couldn't let Troy know. As for where in the north, the stars didn't tell her a clear address, so she could only take a step at a time. "Let's go north first. I'm just here to relax," Luowei said vaguely. "Do you need to be in such a hurry to relax? Still come this far?" Troy didn't expose what she said. He just tightened the reins, clamped the horse's belly, and continued to run forward. There was no saddle where he was sitting, which was much more uncomfortable than Luowei. After running for more than 2 hours, the bay horse began to raise its neck frequently. Its speed also slowed down, and it was unwilling to walk anymore. Seeing this, Troy suggested, "Go down and rest for a while. The horse can't run anymore." Okay. No matter how unwilling Luowei was, there was nothing she could do if the horse couldn't run. The two of them are just one horse, so don't let them tire you out. After dismounting, Troy led it to a small grassy river to let it replenish its strength. He himself took off his cloak and spread it on the grass, letting Luowei sit down while he went to fill the river with water. "No," Luowei stopped him. "I don't drink raw water. The water in the river is very dirty, so don't drink it either." Troy looked like the noble lady is trouble and sat down on the grass next to her. "If you don't drink the river water, what can you drink? There is no wine here. We'll see if there are any nearby villages later. Let's go borrow a place to boil some hot water." Troy grabbed a handful of hair irritably, staring at the river with his green eyes. The horse ate happily, gnawing at the grass. Luowei put her hands on the ground, leaned back, and looked at the woods in the distance. The dense pine trees covered the hillside and looked like fluffy grass and moss from a distance. A flock of birds hovered over the woods, and the forest seemed to be filled with black mist. Black. Luowei tugged on Troy's sleeve and pointed to the strange black fog. What is that? Troy looked up. His eyes fell on the woods, and his eyes suddenly sharpened. It's an evil aura. A monster has come out. Chapter 22, Fishing and Fishing in the Fragrant Mud. Luowei didn't expect that she could run into a monster even if she escaped with her life. This was such great luck. There are records about monsters in the Song of Aldrich. Once this thing comes out, it will be infected wherever it goes, and it will also eat people. Let's run. She made a quick decision and got up to lead the horse. But Troy pulled out his sword with a swish sound and looked fearlessly towards the forest. You go. I'm going to kill it. Luowei was almost furious. She didn't even know the road, no matter how she walked alone. How can you, a swordsman, kill monsters? Let's go first. When we find the next village, let the villagers inform the temple or the city lord, and they will deal with the monsters. Troy, don't give the monster time to grow. Luowei nodded with conviction. Okay, go. Don't die there. Troy held his sword and strode towards the bay horse. What are you doing? Luowei saw his purpose clearly and cursed for the first time after passing through. You still want to ride my fucking horse away? I'll pay you back. Troy didn't look back, walking out of the wind rustling and Ishui Han feeling tragic. You're still a fucking ghost, and you'll die there along with your horse and man when the time comes. Luowei roared in her heart. She was really furious. Troy wanted to leave, but he also took the horse with him. She was left alone in the wilderness, and she didn't know the way. It was getting dark. Was she waiting to be mauled to death by a wolf? Wait a minute, I'll go with you. Even if it means going to die, Luowei can't control so much. Troy pulled her onto his horse, and the two of them ran toward the center of the black mist. The closer you get to the pine forest, the more uncomfortable it feels. It was as if the air had become sticky and smelled of a putrid stench. The light black mist was blown away by the wind to the edge of the forest. Luowei could see at a glance that the grass blades were shrouded in mist and withered at an extremely fast speed, as if they had been corroded by some kind of strong acid gas. Will people really not die if they enter this kind of environment? Troy stopped outside the woods, tied the horse rope to a small tree, turned around and put on his big black cloak. I'm going in. Luowei glanced at the gloomy woods, her heart beating like it was about to jump out of her chest. I'll go with you. She clenched her fists and went together. If something happened, she would have someone to take care of her. Troy looked at her in surprise. Aren't you afraid? After all, you have protected me for so many days. I can't just watch you die here without anyone collecting your body. Luowei said fiercely. Troy suddenly smiled and said confidently, I won't die. It's just a monster. I've even killed waves of monsters. Luowei curled her lips. Just blow it. Troy's eyes were bent and full of smiles. He didn't explain and walked into the woods. Follow me, follow my footprints. Be careful of slipping. Luowei nodded like a chicken pecking rice, looked down and saw two lines of wide footprints on the ground, and stepped on them cautiously. Troy's feet were big, and when she stepped on his footprints, there was plenty of space around the soles of her feet, which made her feel safe when stepping on them. The only drawback is probably that his steps are too big, and she has to cover a long distance with each step. The forest should have been covered with a soft layer of fallen leaves, but due to the erosion of the black mist, the layer of fallen leaves seemed to have melted away, and the ground was so thin and sticky that it felt like stepping on molten asphalt. The two of them walked about 100 meters, and the air was already so smelly. Luowei covered her nose with a handkerchief, and without looking at the road for a moment, she bumped into Troy's back. Why did you stop? Troy stood motionless in front, his voice cold to the bone. "It's the swamp monster, El. It eats people." Luowei stood on tiptoe and looked over his shoulder to see the scene in the distance. A huge monster loomed in the black mist that was so thick that it quickly turned into substance. Its festering body was covered with messy hair. 2 blue flames burned in its 2 dark eye sockets, and 2 long fangs protruded from its mouth. Its upper body looked like a giant, but below the waist it turned into a ball of foul-smelling mud, stuck to the earth. Luowei couldn't tell whether it had eaten people, and she couldn't even find where its belly was. This monster was at least 5 meters tall, almost as tall as a 2-story building. Its mud-like mouth roared in all directions, but it couldn't make a sound. Or maybe the sound it makes is inaudible to humans. Luowei looked at Troy worriedly and asked in a low voice, "Are you really sure you can kill it?" "Trust me." Troy left these words, and his body shot out instantly, like an arrow leaving the string. Luowei saw an afterimage running towards the giant monster. When it was only 7 or 8 meters away, the figure jumped up high, and the sharp sword in his hand reflected the dazzling silver light. Troy's speed was so fast that she couldn't see clearly. She only saw 2 blue flames extinguished, and the monster twisted its huge body and hit the ground angrily. The mountain shook and the ground shook, making her unable to stand still. In just a few seconds, the black fog became several times thicker. The sky suddenly became dark, and she could not see anything in the forest. She could faintly hear the sound of fierce fighting in the distance, but it made her feel extremely at ease in this darkness. This at least proves that Troy is still alive. She didn't know how long it took, but it was so long that her legs were numb when a ray of skylight suddenly shone into the forest. Luowei realized something and ran towards the place where the monster appeared, calling Troy's name as she ran. The valley was silent, and her heart clenched tightly. "Troy, are you still alive? Just scream if you are alive." When no one responded, she took out the magic wand from her sleeve, recited the fire control spell silently, released a ball of flame, and rushed into the thick black fog with the fire. The monster disappeared, and there was only a large puddle of foul-smelling mud on the ground. Luowei's sharp eyes saw something squirming in the mud. She picked up a branch and poked it, and suddenly stretched out a hand. Ugh! Startled, she took a step back and realized it was Troy. Troy sat up from the muddy beach, wiped his face, and revealed his iconic iron mask, which made Luowei unrecognizable. "As expected of you, Troy." Luowei couldn't help but say, "I don't want to take off the mask at this time." His nose, ears, and eyes were all covered with mud, and his hair was so muddy that the original color couldn't be seen, making him look like a clay figure. "You are in such a mess now." Troy choked twice and coughed up a large ball of mud. It was an accident, but it ended well. Luowei walked in and helped him up. What happened? Troy's body was a little weak. He held the sword with one hand to support him and stood up tremblingly. "There are still a few people who were eaten by it alive, so I will cut them out first." "Where?" "It should be in here. Wait for me to dig out." Luowei lowered her head and looked at the knee-deep mud. Even if those people were still alive just now, they should be suffocated by the mud now, right? Alas, who makes her kind-hearted? Luowei put away her magic wand, rolled up her sleeves, and started saving people. Troy was surprised again when he saw her actions. He didn't seem to expect that the delicate noble lady would do such a dirty job. It was obvious that she didn't even want the clear river water to be clean. What a contradictory person. Troy looked at Luowei for a while and then immediately joined the rescue after regaining some strength.